I encourage everybody to slut shame. I encourage men though to like don't just slut shame and then go home and watch porn. You have to live the values yourself as well as a man. But no, I want adults to have to stop this dissolute lifestyle as well, and to have like a more moral approach to just how they live their lives.
Right. That's a tough one, because in situations like we have today, and this is really technologically driven, you know, you're an 18-year-old girl and you know, if I take my clothes off on the internet, I'm going to make $1 million a month and I'm going to be set for life.
First of all, most OnlyFans girls are not making $1 million a month.
Right.
Let's
Right.
be
Yeah.
real, okay?
But if they are,
I mean, if I could make $1 million a month, I'd be on OnlyFans.
So wait a second here. Wait a second here. Wait a second here.
After all that journey, you're like, oh, $1 million.
Hello, good.
LP is joining the stream.
Salule boys.
LP, you can I can't see you. You're not on camera. You can't see me. My camera's going into OBS. If you want to go on camera, you can. I can put you in the stream. If you don't, that's fine too. I'll bring up a avatar or something.
So I'm streaming to my channel.
Okay, so your camera's going into your stream.
Well, I'm trying to do OBS virtual cam on my Zoom, but it's not. I don't use Zoom, so I don't know. I set it on the drop down. But it's not working. I don't know why. Do you know why?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So we're on your channel too. Cool. What's up, LP's audience?
Yeah. Well, you're on my backup channel.
Okay, good.
And the title of the stream is Debating Two Libtards about libtardism.
See, that's funny, because I wanted to say from the very beginning, we have had this debate with a few people, and I feel like none of those debates were in good faith. And one of the reasons why I reached out to you was because, we've been on your show. I've watched several of your videos. You really seem like a good faith actor to me. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be. I've been wrong before. It's rare. My elephant is undefeated though. So you would be the first person that I believed was good faith and actually turned out to be bad faith. So
yeah, no, I'm here in good faith, and I don't think it's like a super complicated conversation either, to be honest. Like there might be a point where we just agree to disagree on stuff, but I'm not here to convince you guys that porn is immoral or anything like that. I don't know what you even believe about it, but it's like I'm not going to sit here and kind of like argue from that.
So I'm not here to convince you that porn is moral.
Can we give a little backstory on so you did a video on James Lindsay in defense of liberalism, and you were making the argument that James Lindsay is wrong to defend liberalism. And the argument that we've kind of had with other people, they want to make the argument that liberalism has led to wokeism and communism and Marxism, and that is the fatal flaw of liberalism. It will always lead to this point. But I don't want to straw man your position, so I'll let you lay out your position as.
Yeah, so it's always wrong to defend liberalism because liberalism is wrong. So you're correct on that part. But my biggest beef with James Lindsay is that I didn't feel like he was addressing my criticisms. He's talking about like polishing your sword and this, and I didn't feel like it was really like a good rebuttal.
It's a euphemism for masturbation. Criticism. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing is that, oh man, sorry, what? I totally lost what I was going to say.
So what is your position? Does liberalism always lead to...
Communism. Yeah. Sorry. So this thing that liberalism leads to wokeism and communism, that may be true to a degree, but it's degeneracy that is my concern when I look at the world around me, and my contempt for liberalism stems from the degeneracy that's all around us, which is separate from communism and wokeism. Like there's obviously overlap, but if you just call it communism or wokeism, you're not really hitting the bullseye on what the issue is.
Well, this is what I want to talk about, because when I watched your video and I listened to James's audio, I think the issue here is that you're both talking about two completely different things. He's not talking about porn. He's not talking about the kind of cultural degeneracy things that you're talking about. He's addressing this very narrow argument that we hear, and I mean I'm not familiar with how much you're into like the neo-reactionary stuff, but that there's this very consistent argument with the neo-reactionaries make, which is that the only way to fight wokeism and neo-Marxism is to basically abolish democracy and liberalism and have some kind of monarch come in. And that's what he's talking about. He's not really talking about anything else.
Who actually says that? Like I had messages. I'm not deep into like neo-reactionary theory cell shit or any theory cell shit of any philosophy. I don't have time to sit around reading books.
That's the Mencius Mulbug
I can position. Sure, I can tell you that like Orrin McIntyre and the Distributists both told me they liked my video. And so those are kind of like people who I would think of if I was thinking of neo-reactionaries. So I mean, I know Moldbug is like the guy,
right?
But he's kind of out there as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
like
but he is. I agree with you. He is out there. But
so I think there's like a neo-reactionary thing which I can't really speak to, which is like the Moldbug thing, and then there's where I'm coming from, which is like as a Christian conservative.
Yes. Well, regarding Distributists, because we talked to him twice. We had a hard time getting an answer. And then I think we finally got one on Twitter eventually, which is that Distributists is in favor of having a Caesar-like monarch come in to reestablish some kind of, I guess, social conservative values, because he thinks democracy has basically failed us. So he does have that position too.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Right. So that's why I want to have the conversation, because I think that you and James, because it's funny because you were saying maybe James was responding to your tweet, which maybe he was when he made this video.
I think there's like, I think I helped.
I'm sure you nudged him over the line. But I think you guys are just talking past each other. I think you're talking about just completely different issues.
Right. So that may very well be. And there's a couple of people commented on the video being like, oh, you don't know what liberalism really is, like a system of conflict resolution strategies or whatever. And it's like, look, that may very well be. And you can call me out on my semantics, but my problem is the degeneracy. So whatever you want to call that, and the permissivity towards the degeneracy. So that's what I call liberalism. And it's like, if you want to, we can call it whatever you want, but tell me how you feel about that. Like, is that okay? You have an issue with the porn and the thoughts and there's other things too. Like there's all the drag stuff, but I don't want to, like, that is more like overlapping with the wokeism when it comes to all the drag stuff and drag queens story hour and drag shows in the schools and drag kids on TV and all that. There's like an element of like virtue signaling that fuels that sort of thing. But
in your video, LP, you were very specific though about the degeneracy around children. Now, are you in favor of adults being able to engage in this degeneracy? You just want it kept away from
being
children,
able to and choosing not to, right? So I do worry that I do like, please think of the children too much.
I mean, we agree there though. I think obviously like the sexualizing of children is going a bit far culturally. So I think we have some agreement there.
So it is going. So that's why it's easy to go there for your argument, because people will agree with you. But no, I want adults to have to stop this dissolute lifestyle as well, and to have like a more moral approach to just how they live their lives.
Right. Well, you can't. That's a tough one, because in situations like we have today, and this is really technologically driven, you're an 18-year-old girl and if I take my clothes off on the internet, I'm going to make $1 million a month and I'm going to be set for life. That's a pretty hard opportunity to turn down. Yeah. So, I mean, I like, how do you, what say you? What do you? How do you deal with that?
Well, they should turn it down because it's wrong.
You slut shame them.
I mean, I know these are like really simple answers, but this is like I don't have like really complex ideas here, and I don't have like a solution either.
Right,
it's like this idea that you're gonna have Caesar come and impose morality on everybody else. That's not really realistic. And
so, but you're not. So
forget about even desirable, like whether or not it is desirable. Like it's not going to happen. But my perspective is just like, wouldn't it be better to live in a society where people just were less degenerate? And to me, it's like no one can argue with that. But so the only like solution that is like feasible and reasonable is for a sort of social stigma around degeneracy, right? So that's my whole thing.
Well, there's two things I want to say. I guess we'll go back to liberalism later, because regarding now, this isn't my argument, but this is James Lindsay's argument. Is that he would probably say, in response to what you said, is that he believes and has argued that the neo-Marxists intentionally try to get children to be aware of sexuality and to be sexualized, because doing that basically turns them against their parents and allows them to be easier to be indoctrinated and be groomed. That's why he says that they're grooming kids. That's what he means by that. So he would say that everything that you're talking about
sort of
is
thing
like
before,
right,
and I'm
is
sure
the basis
you can
of the neo-Marxist stuff.
Right. I'm sure you can find citations from books that nobody's ever actually read that say this sort of thing to support your argument. But it's like a 13-year-old guy who has access to pornography on the internet, he doesn't need to be like
well, he's talking about much younger.
And I understand 13. That's not even what you're saying, but it's just like it doesn't matter. And it's like the $1 million that the OnlyFans girl is going to make. That's not communism.
Yes.
Right.
I'm assuming he would say that the stigmatization of these things is part of that, though. It's part of the neo-Marxian deconstruction.
So that I have a harder time believing.
Yes, Sitch, just to be clear here, are you saying that he's playing into the Marxist hands by stigmatizing this stuff?
No, he's saying you said the destigmatization, right?
Yeah, no, I'm saying James Lindsay's position is that, like, I'm assuming if you were to be talking to James, he would say that a lot of the degeneracy you're talking about is the destigmatization that Marxists are doing in order to try to deconstruct all normative views of ethics in society.
It's almost a continuation of our last conversation. We at least touched on this, and you were saying, Sitch, that the sexual revolution of the 60s was partly like a revolt against people sending their children to die in Vietnam, and then the young people realizing that it was all a big sham.
Yeah.
And then revolting against like their parents by having sex. So I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it doesn't sound like communist subversion.
Oh yeah, it's not my argument. This is James' argument.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, I know like the Yuri Bezimov stuff too.
Yes,
and people bring that up all the time. And it's like, I can see those elements to it, but I honestly feel like there's just sort of a natural progression probably for a society to become more and more degenerate if you don't use authoritarian measures to hold it back. Yeah. If you don't polish the sword. Yeah. No, but like you look at like the only societies that have really been successful are kind of like the Middle Eastern Islamic societies
that's success.
Are you defining success?
That use methods that you wouldn't want to use, right? So there's no white pill here. There's only black pills.
You mean success as in fighting the degeneracy?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I think I think there might be some truth to what James is saying in regards to like, the drag queen story hour and trying to get the sort of weird sex stuff into kids as young as possible. But I think mostly, and the things that you're talking about, like, a lot of people being obsessed with internet porn, OnlyFans, I think that's just purely because of technology. Just allows people to do what they want to do.
promiscuity, children being born out of wedlock,
Right, but they all kind of
no
follow
fault
suit with each other.
divorce, you know, BDSM.
You're against no fault divorce?
Yeah, oh fuck yeah.
Oh, okay.
What about light spanking?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, are
all
you
of it.
you
It's
like
only
missionary
section-
only? in
You
the
guys are
dark?
talking about how sex shouldn't be. Some guy, was it Michael Knowles, is saying that sex shouldn't be for pleasure.
Yeah, it seemed like that's what he
Yeah,
was
that's
saying,
the only unironically good position.
Okay, so but you're in favor of that then?
No, I'm joking.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
joking
I don't
a
know.
little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So we can have more than just missionary the lights off.
Yeah, I guess. So I
Light spanking is like what
you're
role
always
playing?
gonna
Is that
have
okay?
degeneracy, right? Like degeneracy is kind of like part of human nature. You're always going to have it. You're always going to have it on the fringes. You know, so like it's okay to have drag queens, but they're supposed to be. You go to like some shady, like rundown little club. You pay $5 to get in for the
Right.
cabaret show. You know, it's
Okay.
there's some seven
Right.
with saggy tits pouring honey and feathers on herself and calling it art. Then a guy and a girl do a duet of like "Baby, It's Cold Outside," but they changed all the lyrics, and it's like whatever, you know, it's cool, live it up. But it's not supposed to be like in the schools.
Yeah.
I see.
And
Okay, well, see,
it's-
interesting because
The lunchtime assembly kind of, you know,
Yeah.
takes it
because
to a new
I
level.
agree with what you just said, but see, I would agree more with James in like the reason that is being put in the schools is because of the weirdo neo-Marxist shit. That's why they're trying to put it in the schools.
Well, let's just say that's true for the sake of argument. So what?
Okay.
Like so now we all just have to read like anti-CRT essays and then we're gonna fix that. It all comes back to like whether you have a moral backbone to your society or not. If you have a moral backbone in your society, this stuff wouldn't be happening in the first place.
Well, you say, yeah, but you understand that you're loading a lot of these terms here. When you say moral backbone, you mean your version of moral backbone, right? You don't agree with like Stalin's version of what is moral.
Well, no, actually, I think that the Soviets, like when it comes to the
LP.
anti-degeneracy stuff, like when it comes to this specific thing, I think they were pretty based, weren't they?
I assume you don't agree with the whole.
This is another
economic
argument,
morality.
This is another
component
argument
with
against
the
Lindsay,
Soviet
right? Is that you
Union.
didn't have this shit in Soviet Russia, and Russia today is less degenerate than America.
That's not really
Right?
true, though. They're only.
The
Isn't
chat
it-
is screaming
No.
for you to define degeneracy.
Well, yeah,
just so
because
we're
that's
having-
what I was going to say. But wait, I just want to say that Russia's only quote unquote less degenerate front facing. They have like so much more abortions than we do in America. They have like double the amount of abortions we have per 100,000 women.
Okay, I didn't know that,
Yeah.
but they have like laws against like gay propaganda hitting your kids and stuff like that, right?
Mhm. Something like that, yeah.
So degeneracy is like, it's like I said in my video, it's when you or also liberalism and degeneracy are synonyms, so that can answer your question one way, but another way is like it's when you go on a family vacation and you take your kids to the Grand Canyon and there's thoughts dressed up twerking in front of their cameras for their Instagram accounts.
Is
when
this
you're
a
trying
true
you're
story,
trying to show
LP?
your kids
It feels
the
like a
splendor
true
of God.
story.
No, it's not. But
I feel like this happened to you.
It
Yes.
rings true.
Did this
you can all picture it
Did
in
this
your
happen
head.
to you as a child,
You
or
could-
did it happen to you as a
You can all
father? I'm
That's why
curious.
he's the way he
Your
is
head.
right now.
It-
Okay. He was
there-
traumatized.
When I'm 12, if I'm going to the Grand Canyon with my parents and there's some scantily clad girls that are like hamming it up for the camera, I'm loving it. I'm going, Dad, where are we going?
Yeah,
Why-
exactly. But
Why,
you shouldn't
why
be
are we leaving
subjected to
so
that.
fast?
There's a video. I didn't bring the video, but I've played it before. But it's like it's on a waterfront in some city, like looks like Vancouver kind of, but it's not Vancouver. And there's this thought twerking
Mhm.
with her like Instagram boyfriend filming, and there's this like 4-year-old kid watching, and then the kid starts imitating.
Oh no!
I've seen that video.
Yeah, and the parents are like laughing, like, haha, it's so cute. And I'm not gonna shit on them. I get it's funny and cute when kids do adult stuff, but that video is like horrifying to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. No, but I feel like, how do you define degeneracy though? That doesn't really answer the question.
Well, it's whatever would the answer is like what is outside of Christian morality. So
Okay.
sex is marriage between a man and a woman, like all that kind of stuff. Like I have a very, very traditional view of sexual morality.
Okay.
Does that
Right.
basically answer the question?
Yeah. If you just say it's this like strict Christian moral framework, I guess
that's basically it. Yeah.
Anything that degenerates away from that strict Christian moral framework.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
So porn is a big issue, and they're not like pushing porn in the school currently as like a general rule, but
I mean, you know,
like, what do you guys think about that? Like, do you think that's a problem?
Well, I think to answer your question before that question, which we never got to, I think the reason or the benefit of labeling it as neo-Marxism or communism or all this stuff is that that's a way to fight back against it, is to point out what it is. Because I think most people on the left, I think the average Democrat voter doesn't want their kid looking at porn. They don't want their kid being read Drag Queen Story Hour. But they don't really understand what's going on here. And I think that's what James is trying to get at. If he can explain this is the process, liberals shouldn't be in favor of this because it's trying to destroy, liberal democracy, then that's how you get liberals on board.
Yeah, so I think we found the crux of the disagreement here, because I don't believe that you can fight this stuff unless people believe that it's immoral. And you're saying that they don't want this, but again, you had to give that caveat of children. People don't care if adults look at porn.
Right. Yeah, but you say you
and by the way,
either.
if you even tell people, well, yeah, I mean, liberals don't care. If you tell people that, like, oh, well, we should make it so that you can't look at porn without a credit card online, so that as a sort of age, like, liberal dudes will like lose their fucking mind and start shrieking about their right to privacy and this and that. Like, people don't give a shit what happens to the kids as soon as it becomes a minor inconvenience for them, or somebody might find out that they're wanking it to like troon porn or whatever.
Well, so I thought, like, when you gave your drag queen, like, drag queens are fine as if it's in a seedy nightclub example. I assumed that you were sort of saying the same thing for porn. You're fine with porn existing in these areas.
Yeah, the porn is too easy. It's not some club you go, it's not, you have a little box of magazines buried out in the woods that you go dig up or whatever. So the porn is having, like, I think, a corroding effect on just overall morality, because people are coon-brained. People get exposed to this when they're like 11 years old, and it totally warps their views on sexuality. For guys, it like totally messes with just the way they look at women.
When was the first time you saw porn?
I was probably around 12 or 13, but it was pre-internet. Like, it was.
Did you seek it out, or was it foisted upon you?
I sought it out.
Yeah.
If I was born later, I'm sure I would have been exposed to it at a younger age.
How motivated were you to seek it out? Could it have been hidden away from you in a way?
I would say highly motivated.
So the credit card, you would have just figured out a way to get your mom's credit card or something?
I'm sure, like, even if you do some restrictions on the internet, kids are still going to find ways around it.
Well, that's the
add
thing.
A barrier, but yeah.
Any little bit would help, as far as I'm concerned.
Parents can get
I don't
the parental
appeal
locks
to
for
futility on
for the
this.
internet and for kids' phones and stuff. I don't know how well.
So that's true, but that's really easy to get around, because you just go somewhere else. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I've never.
You just look at your friend's iPad or whatever. Is like what I'm saying. Like, it's like.
Well,
you just
do you
go
think
find some
looking
other
at porn
device.
when you were 12, like, it fucked you up in any way?
Yeah, actually, I do think that.
How?
And it's like, the problem is that people don't just look at porn once and they're like, oh, that's porn. They start watching it all the time, or if not all the time, like regularly. And especially like I don't know about 12-year-olds, but you know what I mean? Once you become like a coomer, you sitting there wanking off every day to porn videos, and then it's like you go out in the real world and you see an attractive woman and you're thinking about these like graphic, violent, sexual things you want to do to her, because that's what you watch on your screen.
Are you, or is that just you? I don't know.
Well,
I think you're
that used to-
projecting
that
your
used to be
graphic
me.
violence.
That used to be me.
Because I mean, I'm trying to remember. I think I was like 10 or 11 when I first saw porn, and I don't know. I don't feel like it really like changed anything about like the way I look at girls. I had, perfectly normal functioning, healthy relationships with women and sexual relationships with women going forward. I don't think porn really had an impact on me.
Well, I think everybody's a little bit different. Some people are going to be affected more than others. Some people are
Sure.
going to become full-blown porn addicts.
Right.
I definitely feel like it affected me to a degree. There's like to me, coon brain isn't just an insult. It's like a real state of mind that I think I can kind of understand, even if I was never like full blown or whatever.
You're only half coon.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I know for a fact that other dudes experience this too. Like,
I think
I'm not sitting here like speculating like I'm some kind of weirdo. I know that there are dudes who are like in a virtual like perpetual state of horny, and they watch porn all the time.
Right.
I find it hard to believe that they would be in that state if it wasn't for the porn.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, obviously it is because of the porn. And I think porn addiction is a real problem that's not really talked about. I think video game addiction is a real problem that's not being talked about. I think it will be talked about I think the reason it's not being talked about is because most people it's affecting are still like youngish. So it's not really hit the mainstream. When these people are like 40, I think you're going to start to see more conversations about porn and video game addictions.
Well, when you're classifying,
I agree on both counts.
When you're classifying something as an addiction, though, it means that it's interfering with your ability to live a normal life.
Normal life. Yeah, that's how I mean it. Yes.
And what is the how is it they? I mean, they're getting caught jacking off at work
or whatever that movie was.
Someone's
from Third Rock.
Yes. What I mean by when I say addiction is someone who's spending so much time on an activity like porn or video games that it is creating a detrimental effect on the rest of their life.
As in,
because they're spending so much time, they don't have a job, or they're not, going out there in the world interacting with people. They're not being productive with their time. They're just wasting all their time staring at the computer screen, accomplishing
and then
nothing.
you sink into a depression, or just like your whole
mental
mental
makes you
health
depressed.
Suffers.
Right. I'm curious how many people have this.
I think a lot of people are afflicted by this. And I think that's why I think it's a big reason why there's a crisis of meaning right now is, people are kind of throwing, and I think like the neo-reactionaries, they throw this at kind of like the feet of liberalism because they basically want the government to supply meaning to people's lives. And I think it's because there's a lot of addiction right now, and addiction feels good, but it doesn't fulfill the meaning in your life.
So look, I don't know what neo-reactionaries really believe, but it's so this is what it's not a government problem. This is a social problem.
I'm talking about neo-reactionaries. I'm not talking about what you're saying.
Okay, well, the answer is Christ, right? The answer is God. That's the cure for all that ails you, because there you have your meaning and you have your moral framework that gets you out of all this.
I shouldn't laugh because I do agree with you. It's just there are some people that message doesn't work on. If it does work on you, I do think Christianity can provide meaning in your life and help you live a long and fulfilling life. So I don't want to belittle that, but at the same time, I mean, I'm a non-believer, and I couldn't believe if I tried. So
sure,
I'm in a different situation.
Yeah, he eventually you'll open your heart and you'll hear the message and all that in your own time. That's all. I was an atheist up until like a few years ago, so I totally get it.
Right.
But do you guys
really?
Let me ask you this: do you guys agree that like liberalism just has to condone this stuff, basically, and that this is where the distinction is between liberalism and Christianity? Is liberalism just doesn't have the moral footing to say that you just shouldn't, like, it's wrong to watch porn. Liberalism has to say, like, go for it if you want.
Liberalism is about individual rights, but Christianity itself has undergone kind of a liberalization. I mean, Christianity began with we're going to go over and meet the natives and they're going to convert or else. So, I mean, there was a point when Christianity was very authoritarian.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. But the first dictionary definition of liberalism is willingness to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own.
Right.
So and I think like colloquially when people use it, this is what they mean a lot of the time, which is like, it's about tolerance.
Right.
Yes.
Well, in order to build a society where you respect individual rights, you have to realize that there's going to be a lot of different aesthetics about how society and life should be lived.
Right. You can't impose on somebody unless this is what I said in my video, unless they're like causing harm. It's this kind of like libertarian, like nap thing. That's how liberalism plays out from a policy perspective. And that's why it doesn't have the tools to deal with a porn epidemic.
Well,
it doesn't have the moral condemnation in its toolbox.
The second thing I was going to ask, which is related to this, which I never got to, was that, I mean, America was founded on liberalism and has been a country steeped in liberalism since its founding. So to me, it doesn't make sense to conceptualize, because it sounds like you're kind of conceptualizing liberalism with secularism or
I do. Those are also synonyms,
but they're not, because we started.
Well, they haven't always been. I agree with what you're saying, but America was founded by was a bunch of Christians, and it was like a Christian nation for a long time. I don't know about anymore as necessarily, but it was started off that way, and it was better from a social viewpoint.
Well,
on like the cultural,
I don't know how you could say that.
Cultural fabric, it was better.
I don't know how you could say that. I could throw the big
like
S
the
card at you, but
big S card,
slavery. Kind of a big moral falling.
There's a few picadillos. There's a few
picadillos.
hiccups.
It wasn't a few hiccups, right?
I said this in my video too. Is there's some civil rights issues that needed some work. But putting that aside, it's like when you look at America in the 50s and you think, boy, that would be a better place to raise children, a better place to like grow up as a kid, just a more wholesome community and society, and like a stronger like cultural fabric tying everybody together.
Well, to be clear, and this is part of the problem of the conversation, and for the chat, when we are talking about liberalism, we're not talking about liberals like liberal Democrats versus conservative Republicans, because the Republican Party is a party that still exists under the framework of liberalism in America. And that's part of the kind of the confusion when you talk about like conservatism, because that can mean anything. That's like such a broad label. So I'm assuming that when you say liberalism, you don't mean like liberal Democrats. You mean the framework of individual rights. Yeah,
but for all intents and purposes, that's largely how it plays out. It's like I said, it's about that sort of tolerance and open-mindedness. See, this is the thing, is it's like, no one's saying that you should arrest the thought or push her into the Grand Canyon or whatever, but it should be like socially condemned.
But if she falls in, you shouldn't save her, right? You shouldn't grab her.
Well, yeah. I mean,
if she slips,
no, you know what I mean. Like in the right kind of culture, it just would be unthinkable to do that in the first place. The twerking, that is.
Sure, yeah, I understand. And I guess what I just want to get is,
tell me you wouldn't rather live in that place.
Right. I know. I do think that there should be more social conservatism in regards to promiscuous sexual activity that we're doing.
Awesome. I won the debate.
I'm on board.
There
you go. You converted me.
Yeah.
Before this conversation, I don't know if you knew this, I was literally looking at porn and masturbating while we were talking. But then your words they've just changed me. Okay. No, but what I don't like is sort of equating that to the concept of liberalism. And the reason I don't like it is not because of why you're talking about it. It's because of it's kind of falling into that same conversation which James is talking about with like the monarchist, which you're not really participating in at all.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there's this big brain intellectual way where like liberalism is like what John Locke wrote in the 1700s or whatever. And then there's just like the way normal people talk, and I'm definitely in the latter camp.
Yeah, but this is part of the issue, is that a lot of the neo-reactionaries, they do mean it in the big brain way, but they're relying on you thinking they mean it in like the normie way.
That could be. I can't speak to people's intents, especially when I haven't even really heard the arguments. I use the word theory cell because it really describes look, I use it like kind of half jokingly and half lovingly.
No, it is,
but also
all
half
lovingly.
Contemptuously, because it's like I like listening to theory cells because it's interesting, but at the end of the day, it's like you may as well be farting in the wind or whatever.
I mean,
like
maybe.
You know what I mean? When people talk about how they want to install a monarch to.
Right.
And some weird fringe way of structuring society. A lot of those people are like really smart and fun to listen to, but it just doesn't amount to anything.
They're very detached. They're terminally online.
Exactly.
No, I generally agree. My only concern is that I thought the same thing of communist, and I don't think it's as fringe as it used to be. So I'm a little worried.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, it sounds like we actually won the debate, though, because you're not in favor of forcing your political views on other people. So basically, you are a liberal.
Basically, I am. You got me there.
Yes.
You definitely got me there. Yeah, I am a liberal. All right, I'm a proud liberal. But I mean, I said all this in the video, and this goes to what Sitch was saying too, or what you guys were saying about how the country was founded. Right? There's nothing like necessarily mutually exclusive about liberalism and Christian conservatism. Those things can coexist. It's just that once you take out the Christian morality, that's when you have, that's when you have Drag Queen Story Hour gets to fill the void. So
I guess the question is how do we bring not necessarily Christian morality, but some kind of anti-degeneracy
it has to be
back.
Christian morality.
Okay, for you it has to be Christian.
Only solution.
I mean, slut shaming works. Can't you just slut shame the girl at the Grand Canyon?
Yes,
the theoretical
slut. I encourage everybody to slut shame. I encourage men though to like don't just slut shame and then go home and watch porn. You have to live the values yourself as well as a man. And
it's hard though.
Why?
I mean, so the funny thing about the Christianity thing is like before I converted, I was obsessed with finding a moral framework that I could stomach. And so I ended up landing on natural law, but it was like my own like weird conception of natural law, because I had to have like a moral framework that wouldn't allow for like incest and all these other like moral confounders that liberals can't deal with. So I do think there are like secular ways of approaching the problem. It's just that you have to theory cell really hard. You have to do a lot of navel gazing to come up with like a reasonable, logical, and it's just so much easier to just say like, go to church and do what God told you to do.
Sure. Well, what made you convert, I guess?
So it was like a long road. I first I had like a Christian girlfriend, and I was like, oh wow, she's such a nice person.
Oh
she's like so much better than a lot of the other people.
The girlfriend got you.
That relationship didn't work out. But then I met my wife, who's also Christian, and then her family. She got me to start going to church.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. And then you have like a religious experience at some point where you're like, holy shit, I can feel the Holy Spirit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, at least your now wife got you into Christianity instead of communism. So,
well, and the thing is like I was a really degenerate kind of like progressive, like I was a progressive big time when I was. And I became depressed, smoking weed, porn, video games, chasing girls.
Yep.
Did all that for years. And I became depressed. And then the way I got out of it was when finally I had a kid with one of these girls, and then I tried to keep just going the way I was going, but it was too hard with these added responsibilities, and I became even more depressed because I felt like I couldn't handle the responsibility. And then I finally said, all right, something's got to give. And so I got my life together and I kind of cleaned up my act, and then I became like way happier. And when I became like more mentally healthy, when I started like eating right and exercising, quit smoking, quit the weed, quit playing so much video games, and started working more. That's when I started my YouTube channel, because it was like now I had more free time because I wasn't getting high and playing video games all day after work. So I started the YouTube channel as a side hustle, and I became more happy. And then it just so happens, it's like, oh, when a lot of what I'm doing is like what I was told to do in this book that was written like 2,000 years ago. Funny how that's still relevant today. You know, the basic instructions before leaving Earth, as they call it. It's almost like somebody was on to something when that book got written.
Well, I mean,
You know
I'd say the reason it survived so long is because somebody was on to something.
Yeah.
But we have a
They
different
definitely get
conception.
the
But I agree with
psychology
you.
right. Yeah.
They did
We all need
definitely-
an adventure, and you found your adventure, which is great.
Yeah. Well, I think your journey makes a lot of sense. I think that's a lot of people's journey. And you do have to find, I think people do need meaning and spiritual meaning in their lives.
Some people just
it's
want to
lacking.
twerk at the Grand Canyon. That's
Yeah,
their,
but I would,
that's their
I don't think,
adventure.
I mean, I would agree that I don't think that's going to bring you long-term happiness.
Exactly. They're
Oh, I
need something
totally.
more.
the dopamine
I totally
that they get.
agree.
They need the likes on the Instagram accounts.
I mean, but it's
It's a-
hard to say. I
They
mean,
don't-
if
they
you're
don't know
making
what
$1
they're
million
doing.
a
They're
month,
lost. They're lost and broken. First of all, most fans girls are not making $1 million a month.
Right.
Let's
Right,
be
yeah.
real, okay?
But if they are,
I mean, if I could make $1 million a month, I'd be on OnlyFans.
So
You would give up
wait a
their
second here.
Christianity for
Wait a
OnlyFans?
second
Come on.
here.
What's
Wait
going on?
a second here.
After
You-
all that journey, you're like, oh, $1 million. Then.
You just
$1 million. Hey, look, I'm as Christian as the next guy.
You just-
$1 million.
you just coughed up to the problem, the whole problem. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm joking though. The thing is, like, my wife could make money on OnlyFans. My wife
Right.
is attractive enough and young enough.
Oh, really? Is there pics? Do you have an OnlyFans?
Yeah, no, sorry, but it's like even if we were like really hard up, which we aren't, but even if we were, we still wouldn't do that.
No,
you know?
yeah, no, and I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying that some people will want to do that, and will.
Yeah.
I mean,
course.
it's to say that they don't find any meaning in it. I don't know. I'm not them, so maybe they do find.
I mean,
meaning
it's.
in it.
I think it's. I don't think you can argue that there's meaning in it. It's empty, like dopamine addiction, and you know, these like parasocial relationships that you think have meaning, but sooner or later you're going to have to confront that they don't.
Sure, many of them probably hate it. Actually,
Okay.
Well, look at the just the studies on like mental health of sex workers. It's not even in dispute. Or like every time they do a study on the mental health of sex workers, it's like 96 of them, or 96% are mentally ill and depressed. It's
I mean, I
insane.
just
Right.
saw,
I don't know if there's a group of people, like a demographic of people on the planet that are more depressed and mentally ill than sex workers.
I
would
just saw a
assume-
talk with a sex researcher who said exactly the opposite. That the studies are really that they're just normal, regular people. It actually gave me like,
Really?
yeah, that's the same talk that I sent to you, Sitch, where she
That sounds
says
like
that
communist propaganda.
that says she says that you know, children don't seek out porn until they're sexually mature, and then they do seek out porn.
Well, that's probably true, but I guess, but I think it also depends what we consider a sex worker, because I'm assuming being like a prostitute.
Also,
being
what
an
are we considering
OnlyFans
mature when it comes
bot,
to
you know,
children.
I would imagine like having sex with people and just selling pictures of yourself naked are going to have a lot different psychological effects on people.
Right.
It's not going to be as bad, but it still is bad because you have to understand you're dealing with disgusting perverts who want to push the boundaries. They get off on like making you do things. That
Why would you
don't
read the
wanna
comments
do.
though? I'm
Well,
gonna read the comments, and I'm not fucking anybody.
these OnlyFans and these cam girls, or I'm not talking about like porn stars who film videos. These people, it's all about these kind of like the whole reason these platforms are thriving is because of the interaction aspect, right?
Oh, okay.
These lonely guys get to send messages. Half of an OnlyFans girl's job is responding to messages.
Really?
And the messages are going to be often degrading, and you're dealing with dudes who are like mentally ill. It's going to bring you down, man.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work. Actually, sounds like more work than just like a regular job.
Like
if it's not real work, let's be clear about that.
If I was a hot girl, I would be doing these streams and having an OnlyFans at the same time.
Really?
You and Vegan Gaines' wife.
But I wouldn't be reading these comments. So
why I'm saying, LP, is that I mean, I don't know any of these people, so it's all just speculation to me. So, and since we seem to be in agreement that we have to fight with persuasion over just banning things, then we're really talking about how to make more persuasive arguments, which at its heart is liberalism. I mean, that's the whole point of liberalism.
This is this James Lindsay version of like, it's a strategy of conflict or set of conflict risk or whatever. You can call it that if you want. I mean, like I said, I'm very black-pilled on the actual prospects. You know, I have a show called You Can't Stop Progress, and the title of that show is unironic. I don't think that this can really be stopped, but what you can do is just find a small community of like-minded people.
But that is progress.
Well, it is for me
that you can do that.
Yeah, I can. I largely have. And so I'm largely like insulated, and I'm going to do my best to keep my son insulated as much as I possibly can. Obviously the internet encroaches on everybody, no matter what you do. But, yeah, you can't, there's no like fixing the world. You know, the world is fucked, boys.
Right. Well, I hope you're not teaching your son that, because I mean, obviously that's a pretty dark thing to teach your kids. I mean,
no, I mean, I will try to shelter him from that reality for as long as humanly possible.
Why? See, this is the thing that I don't understand. It's like, some of the most black-pilled people I know have kids. Why would you have kids if you're so black-pilled about we're teetering on the edge of oblivion here? Same with distributors. I think distributors has a kid, but he's like, there's no hope for society.
The show must go on. You know what I mean? Just because America might collapse or society might collapse doesn't mean something good isn't going to rise up eventually.
Right. I mean, it
is like how many like generations of ancestors had to go through God knows what kind of hardships for you to get here, and then you're just going to opt out.
No, I totally agree.
To me, having kids is like the most important thing. And to me, winning at life is when you get to have grandkids. That's how you know you won. When you're just retired and spending time with
depends on the grandkids. You know? Some of them pretty shitty.
I'm very optimistic about life. I'm not very pessimistic at all. So
me too.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, your kids are young enough. They could be 200 years old, the kind of progress that we're making in discovering how aging works, how the human body works. I mean, they're sitting in a very...
Well, let's calm down with the transhumanism there, Elon Musk.
Well, I'm just saying.
Chips in my kid's brain.
You don't know.
It's going to happen, though.
You don't know. Yeah.
But, but it's funny because those chips are going to help fight the porn addiction.
Oh, that too.
That's debatable.
Well, no, because everyone thinks they're going to put the chips in their head and everyone's going to just sit there and like space out on being high all the time. First of all, I don't think that would even be legal. I don't think they'd allow people to do that because it'd be so detrimental. I think most people would end up using the brain chips to capture that feeling of motivation.
Yeah, flow.
And the flow state. And I think people are going to be 1,000 times more productive than we could possibly imagine.
That's what I'm going to do.
That's what I'm going to do with my brain chip.
I feel like I'm good just having a, I don't need any chips in my
Well,
brain.
you're gonna get left behind.
Well, yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
You know what? I've lived a long, full life already, to be honest with you. It's all
Okay.
everything. I'm already in like overtime gravy.
Hmm.
Everything I get now is just gravy. But I do like worry about that for my like my kids unironically are gonna have to confront those kinds of decisions.
Yeah.
It's freaky deaky.
It's gonna be a freaky deaky new world that we're living in. But I think humans will make it through it. We made it through much worse. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. Was this conversation productive, Sitch?
I think this conversation was very productive.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I'm gonna. Yeah, I think it's a good place to leave it off.
This is the one thing I'll ask. Just say liberal. Don't say liberalism. Just say liberal. Okay.
How does that change
liberalism
anything?
is just like the ethos that we all live under. You know.
Just say degeneracy and just be clear with what you're saying. Then you don't have to really cloud it up.
Liberalism, degeneracy, secularism. It's all the same. Modernism.
Individual freedom.
It's all the same thing.
Individual
and I am optimistic about life, and like I'm a happy person. I love life, but I hate this fucking world. I look around me and I'm disgusted.
Hypocrite just plays like the beginning of Taxi Driver over and over again in his head.
Yeah, one day a real rain will come.
Yeah, there you go. He plays that, and he plays Rorschach's intro over and over again.
Can I ask you a quick question before you leave, LP? Because I am curious, and you brought it up technically because you did say disgusted. I'm disgusted by this world.
Yeah,
this world is disgusting. Different people have different disgust, like tolerance. You accept that, right? Like some people have very high levels of disgust tolerance. Some people have very low levels of disgust tolerance. I would say that I'm pretty low. I have pretty low levels of disgust tolerance. You do a lot of thumbnails that I find epically disgusting. Like I look at those thumbnails and I'm just like, oh, why are you doing this?
What are these thumbnails?
So I want to ask, like, do these thumbnails? What's going on here? You
got a big fat obese guy. That's gross. My god, you got a lot of fat people in your thumbnail.
Well, do you?
Don't talk about Boogie 4988 that way.
Is that who? Oh, is that Boogie?
Well, even on your show is just a cavalcade of disgusting images.
Yeah, I guess I do have a high tolerance. Like a lot of that stuff is actually funny to me. I'm very
that's my
ultimately.
That is my question because I'm curious about the thought process here. Like, are these images very, very disgusting to you? And you're just like, I looked at this, so you have to look at this. I want you to feel the disgust that I feel.
It's both. We need a word for disgust and funny. Disgusting and funny, because it really is both,
Right.
I think the laughing is like a coping mechanism.
But no, funny is the root word of funny is fun. Entertainment,
that's the
excitement.
root of being clown pilled, right? That's what being clown pilled is. It's when you master the coping mechanism of laughing at all this freakiness.
Right.
Oh, you're going to be happy, Adam. I think LP is a big Terry Gilliam Time Bandits fan.
Oh, really?
Do you like Time Bandits?
So I am. I actually didn't. That video though I didn't write the script for that. There's another guy who used to be on
you
Twitter
fucking stealer.
No, I had permission.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not stolen. But so I have a series of videos where I take this guy. He actually deleted his Twitter, but he's called Mencius Moldbug Man on Twitter.
Right.
It's not the Mencius Moldbug, right?
No, not Curtis Yarvin. So he's a big I'm a big Terry Gilliam fan too, though. So I agreed with a lot of what he said, but
okay. Because I hate the movie Brazil with like a burning passion.
What? Oh, dude.
I feel like you like it. I hate how depressing the ending is. It ruins the whole movie for me.
Yeah, I liked it in Brazil, but then did you see Zero Theorem? Because that also has a depressing ending. And
I have not seen Zero Theorem. No.
Is that Terry Gilliam?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's worth
Yeah,
watching,
but I do like-
it has a depressing ending.
I do like some Terry Gilliam, some is kind of hit or miss.
I didn't really like Dr. Parnassus at all. I like 12 Monkeys. That was good.
Moldbug Man really likes Dr. Parnassus. I didn't like it that much.
No. 12 Monkeys is probably my favorite of his movies.
Brazil, Time Bandits, all
Barry
good
Munchausen.
stuff.
I think I
Yeah,
tried to
Barry
watch
Munchausen,
Zero
yeah.
Theorem and it was really bad, so I did not continue.
It's not his best. It's not his best.
How dare you? You put Uma Thurman looking her hottest in this video, you degenerate.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I tried to put it on the thumbnail too, but YouTube was like, no ads for you. I literally uploaded the same video with 2 different thumbnails, and one of them had like Uma Thurman, and there's also that chick who's in Dr. Parnassus. I forget her name, but yeah, YouTube was like, nope. And then they demonetized my channel.
Look at you, like including degeneracy in your side hustle.
I know.
It is. It's a sin. It's wrong.
You're just a walking contradiction, LP. I don't know.
Damned if it doesn't work, though. Damned if those Coomers won't click.
He's saving. Listen, Adam, it's worth it because he's going to save them. They're going to click for the Coom, and then they're going to get red pilled and based.
That's right.
I don't know. I'm skeptical, but
okay. Well, awesome. Is there anything else you want to say?
Uma Thurman's 17 in that scene, by the way, so it's extra.
She really?
It's extra wrong. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's the best she's ever looked. She never looked that hot ever again.
Wow.
I guess I'm a pedo. I don't know what to say. It's like Cameron Diaz in The Mask. She looked so much better in that movie than she ever looked in anything ever. I don't know what happened there, but alas.
All
right,
right,
guys. Well, it is a pleasure as always.
Yeah.
Take care,
Good
man.
to have you.
Cheers.
Keep the faith.
Yes. Cool. There you go. That's a super productive conversation, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, we're not a lot of disagreement.
Yeah. Cool.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.